Hey guys, good morning and happy Thursday. It's Daryl here in Connecticut. Another cold day. It's supposed to be a rainy weekend and washout, as the weathermen say. All right, I am ready to make this video. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I was researching late into the night last night. I got up a few times. I was so tempted to start making a video last night. I figured I would just keep gathering some more information and make the video this morning. All right, let me start off by saying this video is my opinion. It's from my research, and that's it. I didn't get this off the media, off the TV, or anything. This is my own assumptions, my own research. Let me say too that I'm happy. I'm glad that the war, or the potential war between the U.S. and Iran, it has somewhat de-escalated. Let me also say that I don't trust Donald Trump one bit. He flip-flops from day to day, and I expect just as much for things to suddenly escalate as I did yesterday. But I'm glad that it didn't yesterday. Let me say that. Okay. Yesterday, apparently, I'm not sure what it's called. Some of the Congress met and received some of the information on Soleimani's assassination and the reasons for it. The Republicans came out saying, "Oh, we're more sure than ever it saved U.S. lives," and the Republican went on to say that this Republican congressman, I don't remember his name, went on to say, "Oh, the Democrats kept asking questions. They wanted to know more questions," which is a good thing, because it was almost the start of World War III. So I'm happy that the Democratic congressmen were asking a lot of questions. This is what I came up with. All right. It's my personal observation that Donald Trump does things for Donald Trump, for his ego, for his bank account. I think that he operates the United States in that fashion for his supporters, for money, for backing, and for votes. For the rest of the country, I don't think he gives a shit. This is what I came up with. All right, he's got a tight association with the Saudis. I was reading up on that yesterday. Back in the 90s, he almost went bankrupt. The Saudis are the ones that bailed him out. The Saudi royal family, Prince Alawid, I think his name was. The Saudis, I think it was Prince Alawid, bought the entire 45th floor. Currently owns the entire 45th floor of Trump Tower. Back in the 90s, when he was going bankrupt, the Saudi family bought his yacht, the Princess, for $20 million. They bought the Crown Plaza Hotel, I believe it's called, for $325 million. They currently own tons of property from Trump. He makes, and this is a quote. There's a quote. I'm not getting it word for word, but Trump is quoted as saying that why wouldn't he love the Saudis? He makes millions, he sells them and rents them millions in property. That's a quote. It's not word for word, but Trump has said that before about the Saudis. He's got a very tight business association with the Saudis. He doesn't have any direct property in Saudi, but he is making millions and millions and millions every year from the Saudi family in New York and from properties. And not just from that, for the yearly fees for parking. It was like $85,000 a year just in parking from the Saudi family. All right. We go to the Saudi oil fields, and Trump sending our troops to protect the Saudi oil fields. Remember that about a month or two back? I'm not sure how many. I thought I heard it was 7,000 troops headed to the Saudi oil fields to work as our guys, to work as security guards, as hired hands to help the Saudi Arabian oil fields. This is why, because of Yemen. There's a Shiite militia group called the Houthis. Guess who instructs the Houthis? Soleimani, right? Now they're trying to get their freedom. It's the Shiites and the Shiites against the Sunnis and all that. And what it's all about, I don't, it doesn't involve us. Let's just leave it at that. Um, so the Saudis are very worried. They stand to lose a lot of money because these Houthi rebels would fly drones into the drones to take out their oil fields, to take out their the rigs. So you could lose a lot of money. That's why these were called these terrorist attacks on the Saudi oil fields. That's why our 7,000 troops were sent to the Saudi oil fields to work as security guards and hired hands to save the Saudis money in their oil fields for Donald Trump, doing a favor for the Saudis. Because the Saudis, God knows the Saudis have done a lot of favors for Donald Trump. All right, so you see where this is going? Saudi Arabia reaches out to Iran. Let's have some peace here. Let's talk about this. Saudi Arabia reaching out to Iran. Why don't you send one of your guys like Soleimani to Iraq? And Abdul Mali, the prime minister, got in the middle. The prime minister of Iraq, Abdul Mali, gets in the middle. So Saudi Arabia reaches out to him. He invites Soleimani to Iraq to talk. Well, hey, we want to talk peace. We want to talk this over. You see what I'm saying? It was a freaking ambush, an ambush. Now, I'm not saying, again, I am not saying Soleimani is a good man by any means. But this is what I've come up with through the research. So Saudi Arabia reaches out to Abdul Mali in Iraq, the prime minister. Prime minister invites Soleimani from Iran to come on over. Let's talk about peace. He lands in Iraq and they kill him. They assassinate him. It was an ambush assassination, basically. And guess who knew the whole thing was happening? Donald Trump. Donald Trump, was he behind the ambush? Probably. And also, not to mention the millions and millions that Trump brags about in military aid. This is a big part of his campaign, selling the planes, the bombs, the missiles to Saudi Arabia. They have a tight connection, and now let me continue here too. So this is where this is all my opinion now. This is where the U.S. troops, there was U.S. troops in danger, so that's why we killed Soleimani, because he was plotting against U.S. troops. This is what I believe. I believe they're talking about those hired hands, the security guards, the U.S. troops brought in to protect the oil fields. Remember them, right? So they kind of use them to say, well, these U.S. troops could get hurt or killed if more of these drones come in. And who's helping with the drones? Soleimani. So I believe those are the U.S. troops they're talking about. The U.S. troops that should have never, ever even been there doing a security job detail for the Saudi oil fields. Because why? What if one of these U.S. soldiers in the Saudi oil fields did get killed from a drone strike or something? Donald Trump would look like shit. There'd be a lot of questions. What are our guys doing in the Saudi fields? So what are they doing there working as security guards, as hired hands, protecting Saudi oil? Aren't we 100? Doesn't Trump brag that we're 100% sufficient on oil? That we're not depending on anybody else's oil. So basically, then we're guarding the Saudi money, the Saudi oil. It's not going to be sold to us. It's their money, their oil, as a favor to Trump's personal business aspects. You see where I'm going to see? You see the whole situation here. This is my opinion. This is after hours of reading. I'm gonna leave a few links below. I do not know a lot about The Independent, this magazine that I got some information from, The Atlantic. There were several different publications and articles that I got some information from. The overall idea is my idea. It's something I came up with. Some of it, the general layout was from, I think it's from called The Independent, and I'll put those links below so you guys can check that out too. But that's because I just don't believe Trump and his story that Soleimani was planning. We interfered with this huge terrorist operation that he was going to strike U.S. troops, roadside bombs, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because look, I don't talk bad about Donald Trump because I just hate Donald Trump. No, I've had 3 years of watching this man, watching his character, watching his personality, watching how he operates. And he is concerned about Donald Trump. He's concerned about his legacy, his ego, the way he looks to other people, his money, his future, and then probably his family after that, in that order. And as for the other 60%, 70% of the country that aren't his base, I don't think he could give a fuck about. I think he cares about the military in as much as it serves him and his interests and his ego. Do I say this because I hate Donald Trump? No. I say this because I've watched Donald Trump over the last 3 or 4 years, and this is what I see him doing. This is how I see he operates. After what? How many thousands of I heard yesterday on National Public Radio. I was tuned in the whole day because I was sure there was going to be an attack yesterday. So I was tuned in. It was the first radio station I came across. And they had several good guests on there, including a rear admiral, some high-ranking military officials. And I heard them describing, oh, shit, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, Donald Trump, describing him. Oh, they were talking about how many falsehoods. And the way they phrased it, because you could tell who is a supporter of Donald Trump and who isn't by the way they phrase their language. Excuse me. This guy phrased it that Trump made some misstatements or some not factually correct statements. No, they're freaking lies. There's thousands and thousands. I think we're probably hitting 2, maybe 3,000 flat out lies since he took office. And this is why I don't believe a word he says. This is why I'm happy. I'm overjoyed that this did not escalate into hell on earth as Iraq as the goal point. I'm extremely happy. My prayers have been answered. What's going to happen next? I don't know. One more thing I want to talk about. Yesterday, Donald Trump said that Iraq seems to be standing down. I looked into this. By no means do I see them standing down. During the 24 hours preceding that yesterday, I think it was Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, the parliament in Iran met and voted that they consider the United States a worldwide terrorist organization. And then the parliament started chanting, "Vengeance, vengeance." Meanwhile, there's tens of thousands of people in the Tehran streets burning U.S. flags, talking about vengeance. We're going to get the U.S. the hell out of the Middle East. See, from my point of view, I don't call that standing down. Again, it's Trump language for the truth, or what he calls the truth, or his hamster wheel, whatever he interprets as reality. But yeah, that's where we're at. Like I said, I was ready. I wanted to make this video before it even came out because it's my personal strong opinion that this is the situation behind the Soleimani assassination. You know, that he makes it sound like it's that it was going to be an attack on a base, missiles and roadside bombs and direct attack on U.S. troops, and we saved them. I don't think so. This is my opinion, that this is a favor, again, paying back the Saudis for bailing them out of bankruptcy and for buying all the military weapons. Trump put 7,000 of our troops, I think that's my estimated number, into the Saudi oil fields. The drone attacks by the Houthi rebels, the Houthi rebels led by Soleimani, Shiite militia, and he was lured to Iraq under the auspices, under the guise that it was talks between Iran and Saudi Arabia to bring things down a level. So he comes He comes, he meets Abdul Mali, the prime minister of Iraq, meets him at the airport, or was supposed to meet him at the airport. He had a general meet him. That guy was killed in the attack. So it looks to me like Donald Trump and Saudi Arabia lured Soleimani into Iraq and subsequently assassinated him under the disguise of talking about taking things down a level for peace. And it was to save the Saudi oil fields. And the troops working as security guards, our troops, our guys working as hired security guards in their fields. Those are the troops, I believe, that were being saved from Soleimani's terrorists. And I got to say one more thing. As far as terrorism goes, using a drone to take out financial targets like oil fields, if you're going to take actions like that would be considered terrorist, those would be the ones least likely to kill people. You know, these are financial targets, the Saudi oil fields. Now, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not crediting Soleimani. I'm saying that this excuse that he was going to kill U.S. troops is a bunch of, to me, is just, they stuck that in there. It's a very far stretch of the truth. The troops shouldn't be in Saudi Arabia in the first place. In the second place, they shouldn't be in the middle of that whole hotspot guarding Saudi financial interests to pay as a payback from Donald Trump. And that's it. I see I'm running up on time now. That concludes my video for this morning. You guys will hear from me later today. See how things are going. All right, you guys have a great Thursday. The weekend's coming.